All right. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Revin Trading Channel. Hope you all are staying safe out there as always. Today, we're going to look at a few different time frames for Bitcoin. We'll look at silver and maybe Tesla, a few other things that are kind of my favorites to look at. We'll also look at a few strategies, some that have been doing decent, some that have not, and I'll just kind of tell you my thoughts on the market, how I've been trading this recent market. Okay, first of all, looking at the 4-hour time frame, we have seen some nice swing moves here recently. We did see a couple fake outs, what I would kind of consider a fake out. This would be if I was trading the 4-hour more like traditionally. I would take a trend long here, but this is managed very easily with a close. I have two actually ways to manage it. One would be a close below this resistance 1 band. The second would be a close. Let me just put a little marker right here. A close below the support 1 band when the trade was open. So about right there, a little lower. So it does look, and oftentimes you will see candle closures right around that level. So this is where you need to choose how to manage risk. Obviously, this first closure would not be quite below it, and the second one was, and it actually did stay nicely below that level for quite a while and kind of bounced back and forth. So it is interesting to see how all of these things generally tend to line up. So when you have a stop loss, somehow that level does tend to be a important area. However, if we were getting real technical right there, try to get this real exact, that closure was still really slightly above. So you gotta choose how to manage risk. I try to generally not go to trend longs on smaller time frames when we're in a season of down. I think that's just asking for trouble. So I did not take any of these trades. However, I did take a short off of the 1 day, which we'll look at in a minute. We did see some nice bounces here, on the 4-hour time frame. It's not going to be massive, but a nice 2.5% bounce right there off of the swing low right here. Then it did reject off of this midline and get another test into that, another 2% bounce. Now we're seeing another test into this. Now this is really close to being a trend short, and actually technically it is, though that's a real minute, just barely below. So I'm not sure. I'm going to look at, I have two different settings for the 4-hour. I kind of want to look at the other one and see if this one is more of a convincing close below it. This would also be a place to possibly go short on a 4-hour time frame. For some reason, the 4-hour takes forever to load, so we'll wait just a second as it loads here. While it does that, yeah, we'll come back. Oh, this is a 12-hour. Yeah, we did see a nice rejection. So this is where I took the short. Both the daily and the 12-hour had a rejection around the same time, and I saw that. I took a quick little short right there. I did not post about it in the Discord. I was just way too busy, and I don't want to be giving like all. I don't give financial advice, so I don't want to be giving too much stuff in the Discord. But if you'll read the instructionals and kind of look at the ribbons, you can find plenty of great little trades to take. Okay, so this is the 4-hour. Yeah, this one did close more convincingly below. So to me, this is on a 4-hour time frame, more in a trending downside move. Now, we are seeing a bit of a bounce into this dotted line right here. This would be a decent place to go short because, again, it's right at that level. You would have to manage risk, and again, I would probably manage risk with a little bit of a higher, somewhere around there. So that's where I would do it. I'm not your financial advisor, but either there or the fluid line if it ever closes above that. But anywhere in here is a possibility of going short. So if I was not already short, I probably would take a small short off of this. Just looking at some downside from there. Let me look at the 1 day real fast. Where was that? Yeah, here. I'm going to delete these and then we'll come back to that in a minute. So on the 1 day, I did take a short based on this. This was the same place, the 12-hour touched that midline, so it was pretty confluent to have that happen several times. And it's very easy to manage risk because on this midline, if you see a closure above it, to me that's a trend going the other way for a little bit. So you have very little risk for the most part, unless a candle just shoots to the upside really massively. But a lot of times I'll get in a position with a wick above it, and then if it closes above, I'll get out. Or if you like to use closures better, you could wait till the actual closure below, which would be right here. So I'm in from just about right at that midline, and I'm going to take profit here at 62K area, which is the support 1 band, and I will show you why in just a second. So let's look at the 1 day time frame here, looking at, I don't know what this is all about. Just ignore that. We'll get to this. Okay. On the 1 day time frame, I took a short there. Sorry, lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'm looking at the RBO. So this is more a little bit of a long-term look, and then we'll come back to the short-term. RBO, which is I talked about in the last video, is based on the midline, and it gives it a rating. Depends on how low into the bands it is. So the lower it is, the more severe of a rating it gets, the more negative that band goes. The more above the midline, the more positive is added on. And this doesn't have a ceiling, so this can go as low or as high as it goes over time. And there you will see, some major reads to the upside, about 118 there. The extremes to the downside reach about a negative 120, 130 way back in, I guess not way back. Back in, yeah, that's about as low as it ever got. Interesting. In 22. So this oscillator is, kind of free floating there. And the ribbon percentile right here is not. So that this has a min and a max of 100 and 0 and is more of a standard percentile. So what I've noticed with the percentile, again, both of these will be released soon to the ribbons. And some of these actually I'll slowly release if you're holding the bands or subscribe to the bands. I will give a few of these indicators to bands members as well. But if you want the whole package, the ribbons and all that stuff, that is only for those members. Okay, anyway, jumping back into this. Looking at recent here, we saw two extremes where this one was quite a while. For 9 bars, it sat in the low reads there, and then this is probably 7 or so. Let's see, yeah, 7 bars, it sat right there. So those are double extremes on the lows. Oftentimes, I'd see that where bottoms are starting to form. Not necessarily, what I would call bear market bottoms, but I would say consolidation bottoms, or, Bitcoin generally can bounce 20 to 30% from these kind of area. So let's look back to the last time it did this. Important to note, it will every once in a while, hit these extremes, but usually, not for very long during bull markets. It's very, very short. All of these are little, 1 to 2 to 3. But we don't see those, 7 to 9 bar extremes unless we go way back to the bear market. Okay, so we saw this back in 22. We saw a couple similar things, actually. We saw on the second one, the RBO hit this exact level where it's at now and bottom out for a few bars. Let me just, to be exact, see how many bars it was bottom. So about 5 bars at bottom there. It did go a little bit lower because it does have a look back window, and it is accounting for, it's a little delayed, I suppose. Price, while this was not going lower, price, however, went higher and consolidated for quite a while. So what do we see? We saw 5 bars going sideways here. We saw 2 extremes, for 5 to 7 to 9 bars right there. We saw first of all, from the bounce, we saw about a 15% move up to that midline area. And then we saw a base off this support 1 band. So again, this is why I'm kind of going short in this area and going to take profit right here off of the midline if it does something similar. And then over time, it was about a 30% move to the upside. And after that 30% move to the upside, that lasted about 60 bars. So 2 months. Lasted the bounce, the slow consolidation swing bounce happened for about 2 months. And then we saw about a 25% move to the downside, 26% move to the downside. And then from there, none of these indicators really gave much of reading. But from that bottom, we saw another about 18 to 20% bounce right there. And then we saw our final low here, and that was a 23. So generally what we're looking at is 20 to 30% bounces back and forth, and slowly a bottom being put in. But we did see, like, if we kind of look overall from here to the low, it was about a 15% move. Okay, so what does that mean for now? If we are in a similar period, which I am until proven otherwise, assuming we are, first of all, we saw this, probably not quite 5 bars, actually exactly 5 bars. That's super interesting. So 5 bars, we saw it base off of that exact level right there. We saw the double extremes. What kind of bounce did we see off of here? About 11%. So a little bit less. I suppose if you want to go from kind of wicks area, that's closer to a 15% bounce. So we're in the ballpark, 15% bounce. Now I'm expecting a return at some point to this S1 band, and then just to see some swing moves. So if you want to know my plan, which don't follow me because I am not a financial advisor, but my plan will be to take some swing moves now. So once I see a touch, maybe I'll go slightly long at 62K, probably not. I'm going to be really looking for a move into the dotted support band right here. That's just where I am more comfortable taking swings off of. And then, so again, if we see for 60 bars from here, that would be in April of this year to possibly see the next low. I believe that's what happened back here. Again, none of this is like super exact, but was that the next like really major low? Yeah. No. That was 140. Okay, that's interesting. That was the next. Oh, that was the high. Okay. Yeah, so man, this could last quite a bit longer. If that's where the high is, to the final low from there, it was about 146 bars. So that was quite a while. So it was about 60 bars to the high and then 146 bars. So this is very, just rudimentary math right here. 60 bars. So maybe we'll see a bounce into April, which might line up with the rest of the market and what's going on there. Yeah, so into about the beginning of April, possibly we see a bounce. So this is just general idea, somewhere like that. Then we see it kind of turn over, make another low, a little bit lower, and then our final low back here. I don't know if that's 146 bars, but let me see. Oh, that's too far. 146 bars, whatever. It's back here. So my drawing is a bit off, but maybe in July. Is that right? Sorry, I'm gonna look one more time because I feel like it was a little bit longer than that. Before we saw, about 146. Interesting. Now, it didn't really, it was about 205 bars before it really started to move to the upside. So, yeah, anywhere between, I suppose, July to September, August, September. Yeah, that kind of lines up for me. So that's generally what I'm looking at, y'all. I don't know if it lines up with what you guys are seeing. It would be interesting to know your thoughts, but that's kind of what I'm looking at and thinking might be happening here. As always, we make and readjust plans. Depends on what actually happens, but that is my general thought. Okay, so moving on from here, let's look at a couple other time frames. Actually, I want to look at the 2-hour short. So we did see a nice little short win here based on the RMO, and this strategy is in the Discord. We're now just saw it enter a second short. Not sure about this one, but yeah, it's in decent position to possibly get a little bit of profit there. Based on that 2-hour. All right, looking at the 1 month ribbons and RMO, it is actually super interesting to see that we did hit our 60K target. So if you have been watching videos for quite a while, way back here, I started talking about this 60K area. I was actually a bit hesitant to call that number, especially in the middle of a bull run. It felt a little bit crazy, but the wild thing is it hit that number almost exactly, like just within a few $100s of that number. And let me see where on this chart, yeah, about $500 to $700. It got within $500 to $700 of this target. So very interesting to see. If we look at the average duration based on the RMO, it's going to be another 3 months from here. Before we start to see a possible move to the upside and or cross the upside. Now, this is nowhere near crossing the upside, so I would expect this to take closer to 6 bars, 6 to even 10 bars, and we can see back here on the last move that was similar. It took about 20 bars before it actually crossed the upside. Now, the bottom was within 17 bars, so if we go 17 bars from the cross down. I'm not actually exact. I'll get a little bit more exact right here. The cross happened. Oh, yeah, that's right. 17 bars is August. So, yeah, looking July, August to 20, which would be August to November. So very much within the alignment of that 1 day time frame, what we're looking at back there. So seeing a lot of confluence here. It's just really interesting to see. There's not a whole lot to go off of. Besides, we are about to get a monthly closure below this dotted support band. On the monthly, though, I don't look at that as a death sentence by any means because we're already so low. I mean, the last time we saw this happen, it closed below it, and it did touch into that. The interesting thing is it touched into that support 1 band and really based off of there. So, I mean, the best case scenario, I suppose we've seen the low and we just kind of bottom out here. Worst case is it slowly support band slowly drops over time to the 50K area, and maybe bottoms out over here. So I don't know if that's the other thing I'm looking at on the monthly time frame. I think the 10-day time frame is already trending down. If you have been watching this, it very clearly closed way below that support band, and is now just trending to the downside. So, the bottom of that is about 54K, and that probably will slowly move down over time. So, yeah, maybe we do see bottom somewhere in this area. I'm not looking for an extreme move to 30K, not yet at least. Maybe later on we'll kind of see what happens, and if things kind of turn around and bounce. And yeah, I just don't see a world where it goes to 30K, at least for right now, with all of the different indicators I'm looking at. Obviously, could be very wrong. Time will tell. You can always pull this video up about in 4 to 7 months and tell me I'm so wrong, or tell me right if I'm right. But yeah, that's what we're looking at there. Okay, let's kind of wrap it up here. We'll look at silver real fast. It has been playing fairly technically. Now these ribbons, I believe. Here's the settings. If you do not have those, I believe they're the similar settings to the 4-hour Bitcoin. They are not quite. I don't play them quite like I would play the Bitcoin, where I look on this one. I look at the support 2 band as more the bottoming or the swing area, and a closure just below that would mean trending. So we saw a closure below that here, massive trending move to the downside, a bounce, another close below there. Now we did see a big wick on gold 4-hour to the downside, about 9% move, and then closed above it, and then that's where we saw our swing. So this is looking decent for silver right now. We'll probably have a decent bounce up to at least 81 area, maybe even higher over time as this kind of consolidates. But yeah, that's just on the 4-hour, and then the 4-hour for Tesla is looking. It's looking okay. Having a lot of the interesting thing I saw on this earlier is kind of seeing weakening. Obviously, it's just lower highs and lower lows, but in that we did see a move. So once I start seeing moves up back into our swing zone, I'm kind of looking for the trend to be over. So this could be an early sign that the trend is over. You obviously had our trend going here, and we were basing off of this. I suppose we based off of it once in the past and did make lower lows. Let's see, it did have a swing and even go, yeah, it did go quite a bit further. But once I start seeing more support coming in here and it not really getting down to this, even into this support dotted band here, to me, it's going to be doing something like this in the near term. And then maybe move to the upside, maybe move to the downside. I don't know, but at least we'll be looking for some swings. Probably going to get a little bit higher than that actually. So I'm looking for swings more off of these dotted areas and this band here. So somewhere within that area, looking for some swings, and then possibly a move to the upside, or if it breaks the support 2 band here, move to the downside. So we'll be watching that. That is what I'm looking at on Tesla. All right, we'll wrap it up right there. Yeah, if you guys have any thoughts or questions, let me know. But I'll be around, just continuing to build things. I'm pretty quiet because I'm just really hard at work building and getting some new things ready. All right, see y'all next time.